out of the comfort zone, but this is where you have the flexibility and the freedom to experiment. You're in the upper bracket. You have a lower life to make the sickest run in the lower bracket, but you have to start challenging and testing yourself here when you have the opportunity to do so. Because if you start trying to do it in the lower bracket, it could be the end of that run. So now EDG, as we start flying through the bans, Pantheon Rumble taken off the table once again, Poppy and Wukong eliminated from the jungle pool.
Okay. They're kind of going on towards a lot of the similar bans that they had last time around. The Gwen was something they took off of the board last time and have left open. And with that Rumble ban, I think that does indicate that ZDG would probably like to go towards that Gwen if he can pick it up for themselves. IG, obviously, they can totally take that one off the board right now as well. And we are still seeing a heavy squeeze right here onto these standard junglers that we are seeing the highest priority on for the majority of these players. At this point, right, the Jarvan is something you can potentially be looking for if that one doesn't get banned away. See if IG want to ban it out, because they have been doing so a lot. Yeah, they do take it off the board. Right, so you would think... No, interesting. You leave the Gwen open and then you don't take it for yourself.
Maya Kali. Where's Maya? Yeah. Okay, well, if Angel's not playing an assassin, someone's got to. Someone's got to play some backline threat.
Parukia, give him the pike, let him rip people's heads off. Like,
oh my goodness.
I like it. That could be fun.
That would be very fun. And maybe that's the better call, just because that is the player that is willing to flip the game and just say, you know what, I'm willing to risk the game right here, right now. IG gonna go with a standard support lock-in with the Rakan that does set up for the Lovers duo, and now any chance for assassin backline threats from EDG, it could easily be done away with the safety of a Featherstorm from this Xayah. So now this means that if EDG want to go for a backline dive threat, you can't just rely on one. You have to overload the backline with multiple threats. But Nautilus and Senna, this just looks like another standard draft from EDG instead.
This is EDG indexing really hard into the later stages of the game, and I can understand why they try to change it up in that way, right? They see early game how it hasn't been working for them, despite the fact they've been throwing themselves at their opponents, trying really hard to get ahead. So instead, fine, we're just going to sit back, try to get on a ton of stacks later on. Still, you're now playing into the Lovers duo bot lane. It's not something Gala's been particularly interested in playing throughout the rest of this split. I think he only played it once or twice during the regular season, but it's a great pick for Meiko. He's absolutely excellent on it, and with Rookie now having himself that TF, all of a sudden it's on IG to play the early game and have a little bit more proactivity than they do usually.
Twisted Fate locked in for Rookie just seems like a match made in heaven. You have a point and click CC ability in that gold card, and your major strength as Twisted Fate is just playing the map, using that ultimate to try and roam quickly, collapse quickly onto a side lane, help Gala snowball, help TheShy snowball, hell, even help Wei snowball, because more than likely, we're going to be getting a jungle option that is not just one of the standard skirmishers, because all of them are pretty much gone at this point in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, you have taken off of the board basically everything that I would have looked at as a standard jungle option that we would really expect to be played, and this has been interesting for both of these teams to be leaving the jungler until a lot later on. We're now even seeing a lot more of these aggressive picks taken away, right? The Nocturne now goes off the board, the Neferi is already going to be banned because it got played earlier on. I mean, what are you even looking at potentially grabbing for yourself here? Is something like the Viego going to be the option potentially? I mean, Udyr? Again, Skarner always floating on the edge of something that you can play if you really need to.
Wow, EDG even digging deep into the pockets of Wei's champ pool and eliminating something like a Lee Sin. So skirmishers now are really limited to just very, very low tier options. I know I'm going to say... Okay, thank goodness. I don't have to say Rek'Sai as an option, because IG just start now looking at assassins instead. And now Wei has an opportunity to try and flex some carry muscles in the champion that he locks in. He flashed the Viego, but now is going for the Zed. I think this is Wei's first competitive Zed game. I will have to double check and make sure, but I feel like that is the case.
It's definitely his first this split, like, that is for sure. He has not played this before. EDG now are going to be hovering on towards that Viego. I mean, a reset champion here isn't necessarily going to be terrible, but looking at your ganking options, I don't love them. Instead, they're just going to kick the can down the road a little while longer, get ZDZ. Oh, it's the Sylas jungle, it is! Oh! This was something that I was wondering if we were going to get. I thought we were potentially going to get it in the previous game when we saw the Alistar locked in, but they'd already picked themselves both their top lane and their jungler, so it wasn't really the option. Now you do get it, though, and this is very exciting. We'll talk more about it once we jump on into the game. Final pick here for IG. What do you want to give to TheShy? Right now, into the Renekton, you can take plenty of standard stuff, right? You can grab yourself a nice, easy Ambessa. Nah, he wants to go aggressive. He wants to beat him in the laning phase. It's going to be TheShy on his signature Jace pick, and this can be more exciting.
I love that we are getting some very, very spicy picks coming out from both of our junglers here in what could be the last game of the series. IG, remember, they are on match point with 2 games to their name. EDG would have to do the impossible and claw back and make a reverse sweep happen if they wanted any chance of being triumphant in this series. We have very much vocalized our apprehensions about that being a reality. But for this game, this is where Wei is going to be tested, because a lot of the criticisms in the past for Wei has been sometimes his hands are not able to live up to the champion that he is piloting, which is why he has found a lot of success whenever he's able to play the Poppy or the Vi or the Pantheon. Very straightforward, simple to execute. But now this is an opportunity for Wei to try and flex some of his muscles to see if he has what it takes. This has not been a champion that everyone can pilot here in the LPL. We'll see if Wei can live up to the test.
Yeah, I mean, this one has been... It's baited some people in, right? We've seen a couple of people pick this champion up for themselves, and it just doesn't work, right? But Wei here, in this game, I really love it, because you've got yourself kill threat lane, top lane, bot lane, and in the mid lane. But also, you don't need to go kill threat in onto the mid lane if you don't want to. Rookie can come join you on these fights in the side lanes with that ulti, and you could just spread the love all over the board and make it so that EDG never get a chance to breathe.
Here we go, game 3 between EDG and IG.
敌军还有30秒到达战场，碾碎他们。
Ooh, this is exciting. We wanted hype, right? We wanted something fun to watch. The least interesting thing that could have happened here is IG and EDG pick standard compositions. We keep getting to say that it's even for the first 15 minutes, and then IG make 2 great plays and the game's over. This is at least EDG still throwing down the gauntlet with this Sylas jungle. The Sylas jungle is something I think that's very interesting, right? It gets changed around a little bit, but it hasn't necessarily taken a bunch of specific buffs like a couple of other things have, right? The Kiana jungle that you were so excited to see a couple of weeks ago, right? That was specifically buffed recently. This one has just been kind of floating up in terms of priority, and now actually it's the most played Sylas. You don't see Sylas top or mid lane more than you see Sylas jungle at this point.
Shout out to Riot for giving a buff on Sylas's passive to monsters in terms of the damage. Xiaohao was trying to see if he could catch Wei before he hit level 2 off of those wolves. Parukia and On getting aggressive onto Gala and Meiko on this bottom tri-bush, but not enough to really force anything major out of both of these 2 individuals here. Meiko does pop the heal. Wei tactfully going for the smaller camps first, where he does have the advantage, at least just being able to pull Xiaohao around. Level 2 to level 1, Xiaohao.
Does he get
He's
it?
trying to see if he can at least get the smite and hit level 2 now. He gets the Kingslayer for the heal, but now he's in a world of trouble. He is forced to leave. Wei will not chase him, but Xiaohao cannot contest further in Wei's own jungle.
No, it's just going to be him limping back out, heading away from this one. Still, Wei is at least going to be a little bit delayed in his clear. Not going to be ideal right here for the Zed jungle. And God, can you imagine explaining this game to somebody a couple years ago? We got the Sylas Zed jungle. Like, I love it. I absolutely love what we've got for ourselves here. Like you said, Riot has really been trying to diversify what we actually see in the jungle at the moment. And yeah, you can see here, this is a lot of champions that we haven't seen a bunch of from IG. Yes, TheShy, I think of him as quite a Jace player, but this split specifically hasn't really been playing it too much. Meiko's kind of the only one on the champion that he's been playing a ton of this split.
And one of the benefits about Zed Jungle is that you just clear your camps so incredibly fast, thanks to your passive not having a cooldown on the big monster of each camp. So you just blaze through the big monster so fast. And even though Silas does have increased damage on the Patricite first, from his passive for these monster camps, he does not clear the jungle nearly as fast as this Zed does. So you can see that Wei is already almost done with his full clear, or getting close to his full clear on the top side of the map. You now see Xiaohao just barely hit level 3, finishing some of his camps on the top side. He's not going to even go for the blue buff just yet, because he wants to secure some Scuttle Crabs before Wei can get his hands on.
Yeah, although directing our attention away from these very interesting jungle matchups, you can see Rookie taking a good chunk of damage right here. He's going to have a very important part to play right here for IG. He's the only real AP damage that they're going to be able to play around, so they need him to get far enough ahead. Otherwise, the build path for ZDZ for Parukia is going to be incredibly easy, right? Just as much armor as you can possibly put on yourselves. And then also bot lane. How much just time do you get for yourselves to stack up onto On, get him as many center souls as possible? Because if you just have to play the game as early as possible, keep trying to fight as EDG have in the previous games, well, you're just not going to get this center into a strong position.
Look how smart Wei is. He knows that Xiaohao couldn't have been able to clear all of his jungle camps since he spent so much time trying to stop Wei from farming his own in that blue quadrant invade we saw just a couple minutes ago. Finds out that the red buff is still up for the taking. Wei is able to smite it away and should just be able to get over the wall with the power of that living... Whoa, Wei! Why would you flash that way? What the hell? Meiko with the grand
No, it's good. It's genius.
It still works out. Oh my god, Wei baited and outsmarted is able to pull Xiaohao over the river wall, and that's first blood for Wei's Zed.
That's gorgeous. You said why, but that was absolutely the correct decision right there. He had the flashback because the second you get hit by the hook, you are done for, and he isn't going to get over the wall with that flash. I hope we get a replay of it. He's too far away from the wall. If he tried to flash straight over it, he would have flashed straight into it, and then he would have been dead. Instead, flashback, then get your E over the wall. Know you've got friends over the wall as well. Very smart play right there from Wei, making it work already here on this Zed jungle.
That is some six-pack mentality right there from Wei. My goodness. Wei was able to prove the big brain play when we saw that eclectic series against BLG just a couple weeks ago when he made the Vi Q prediction onto Elk's Varus. And now here, completely just pulls Xiaohao into his own mind game. And IG now finding a solid advantage. We'll get a replay of it that moment right here.
Yeah, because you get the rotation coming on through really nice from Parukia, right? Look at where he is. If he flashes, he doesn't make it over that wall, and he gets hit by this hook if he doesn't. But you've also got a super mobile Rakan that can get over the wall. Meiko does obviously have to flash to join his teammate, isn't quite able to just get that battle dance over, so he does blow a little bit more away from your allies, but still, you're going to be more than happy with the way that that one works out. First blood onto the Zed jungle. You couldn't ask for more.
Wei, I'm so sorry for even doubting you for just an instant. A split second. I promise, I will never doubt you again. Rookie potentially baiting the rest of Angel and Palkia in for another trade. Meiko gets snagged by the dredge line. Xiaohao tries to arrive. The flash gold card from Rookie doesn't get anything for the side of IG. So.
Nope. Nope.
I appreciate the enthusiasm, Rookie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's fun at least to see them trying to make things happen constantly. Neither of these teams seem to just want to sit back, which is surprising. Not from EDG side, they've been a very proactive team overall, but from IG, they haven't necessarily needed to be super proactive in the early games. They haven't been trying to smash people fully just in the lanes. Now they are...
This is the power of that Twisted Fate, hitting the level 6 alongside Wei's own ultimate, but the rest of EDG are able to back away before they were even in range for an all-in from Wei's Death Mark.
I was going to say, still, that should open up the Drake to be picked up right here by Wei, but instead he's just going to head over onto his own jungle instead. Doesn't really want to push onto this one too early, potentially. Now that Rookie will be heading back towards his mid lane, get himself some mid lane priority, and his bot lane can head up. Maybe you want to start onto this one. It's a Cloud Drake, so, you know, teams often look at those and are not as enamored.
Don't immediately go for the dragon here, Bloxxer, as you called out. EDG might be able to at least answer IG on the top side for these grubs that have just spawned. Wei is still clearing out his jungle, so he's going to be a little late. Xiaohao and Parukia, the first ones into this top side river. Parukia able to put a defensive ward onto the entrance point, and EDG should be able to at least claim one. The flash from TheShy, and it's a Realm Warp to try and force EDG out from danger.
Okay.
EDG are able to secure one grub.
Yeah, I mean, you get something, but still, you're giving over two. You do get the flash out of TheShy, although I don't think TheShy really needed to use it in that situation. Was trying to knock people away potentially from that Realm Warp. Doesn't quite work out for him that way. And IG, they just continue their domination right here when it comes to these objectives. Now, TheShy going in quite aggressively onto DDZ, has Meiko as backup.
I don't know if they take out this Crocodile just yet, but they're getting a lot of damage down. ZDZ still has Flash and Dominus available, but already below 50% HP. And Wei is waiting to make the dive happen, but Parukia's here. Oh, holy moly! Wei, that felt personal! Just putting Xiaohao into the dirt!
I swear that there was a Silas there a second ago. Where did he go? Just gets disappeared off of the face of the earth, and now TheShy and ZDZ, they're going to tussle this one out. TheShy, no flash away, so he has to be very careful. Still, the return damage can be super strong, and Meiko and Wei are coming up to join their top laner.
Now Wei still has Death Mark. He only used flash and basic abilities onto the kill for Xiaohao's Silas. Dawning Shadow does provide some assistance to ZDZ. They now look for Wei Zed, and without a flash, that ninja is gone. And Meiko is going to be the next one to fall. EDG are able to strike back against IG.
And that's nice there from EDG, but it's just over-aggression from IG, right? The way that you walk in there as Wei, he walks straight under the tower, takes a couple of shots, and then they never fully commit onto either killing ZDZ or killing onto Parukia, and instead they kind of just sit in the middle, not really making a decision, and it ends up costing them a couple of kills. EDG, though, they still find themselves down by 1,000 gold, and a lot of that is just these individual CS advantages that you can see for these IG members.
Take a look back at that replay.
Now you see him? Now you don't. And this is also a no item Z at that point in the game, right? This is going to get worse and worse for these squishier members. This, though, way over aggression, right? The teleport coming in just completely stops what IG are looking for, dead in their tracks. And good layering of the CC onto Wei as well to ensure that a very slippery Z can't get away.
A nice shutdown for EDG to pick up, just to make sure that Wei doesn't have a horrendous snowball advantage over EDG. It does slow down the pace of IG, but as we stated before, going into this series, if IG are the ones finding themselves with the major blowout advantage in the early game, you know that a new form is being reached by Invictus Gaming. And the fact that Wei is now starting to flex his muscles on champions outside of what was really thought to be kind of the standard that Wei set during his time on, at least on BLG this season. He is now returning to a lot of his roots before he came onto the BLG roster when he was playing, I believe, on the RNG roster. I mean, this was a guy that was playing a bunch of carry junglers in the past. Karthus was a big one that Wei would always bring to the forefront, but then having to play more of the skirmishers, more of the facilitators for his solo laners. IG are really giving him a lot of freedom as TheShy is under threat under the tower, but here comes Meiko. Can he get there in time with quickness? Yes, he can! Battle grand entrance under the tower!
Yo!
The dive is completely diffused. CDC finally finds him with a cold of the meat, but he is over in enemy territory, and Wei's death mark will seal him down. EDG make the dive, but at what cost?
No, I mean, Meiko, that was so good. If you don't go overly aggressive there as CDZ to get yourself that final kill, it would have been the save of the century. Not only does he manage to get in, get those shields off from the battle dance, and knock people up with the grand entrance, but he body blocks onto that final accelerated shock blast as well, and just, gets that final one through. It's really nice to see there. Well played.
Teleport is coming in. Gala and Meiko, can they get out of this one? Immediate Feather Storm usage by Gala has Flash and Cleanse available. Cleanses the stun from Parukia. Here comes Rookie with the Twisted Fate ultimate. ZDZ can't get the job done. Gala survives. Did have to burn both of his summoner spells, but now it's the turn from IG. It's their time to shine as Xiaohao and Parukia are forced away. Dredgeline does snag way under the tower, but not enough for a turret shot to actually come through. Parukia still wants to continue the chase because On is here for reinforcements, but they can't get in range for another follow-up.
No, I mean, every single bit of aggression that you try and make happen right here as EDG just gets neutralized on out by Meiko. And I mean, this is something that we highlighted, right? Everybody else on IG playing champions that they haven't really been playing too much for a while. This guy, he's playing so well on a champion. He's been excellent on all split long in this one. Quickness. This knock up here. It's so well done. He's trying so hard as well to just... Yep. Oh, it's actually crazy right there that you don't quite manage to save onto your carry. Otherwise, that would have been one of the best support moments I think I would have seen in a while from Meiko. Still, he's playing incredibly well right here.
Yeah. IG now find themselves with just about a 3,000 gold advantage here at the 14-minute mark. That's already a worrying sign for any team going up into Invictus Gaming. EDG have been able to make decent responses, but they haven't been the aggressors. They haven't been the ones making the game volatile in the first place. They've been playing reactionary rather than proactively against Invictus Gaming so far.
Yep. Absolutely. Now, ZZ going to be the target of another potential gank right here.
Oh, but Meiko's there once again, and right on top of ZDZ with a death mark ensures that the Proc has got nowhere else to go except back to his own base. IG continuing to establish control and position in the topside river. Realm Orb comes out from Angel.
Oh, they take it.
Reposition, but Wei just goes over to the left. Repositions there. The Death Charge accomplishes nothing. Rookie goes to flash over the wall, but still survives. Pops the ultimate, so he gets guaranteed vision on every single member left from EDG. And Xiaohao.
He's done. He's out.
My mistake. That was not Rookie's ultimate. That was Xiaohao taking
that
Rookie's
was
ultimate.
Xiaohao stealing
but
it.
couldn't even get into the back line.
Nope. Oh, this is just really rough right here. I mean, IG, every single one of these attempted fights from EDG, they're absorbing that pressure. Now, we're seeing aggression again. Meiko should just be able to battle dance his way back away. He's going to go rejoin with the rest of the squad. Herald going to be started up right here by EDG, but this is IG straight off the back of a couple of resets. They've got themselves full items here to be playing with, and more components too.
And now that was Rookie's Twisted Fate ultimate being used there. Gala goes into the air with the Feather Storm. Flash right on top, but Meiko absorbs the trench line for Gala, and Gala does still goes down anyway. It was a valiant attempt for Meiko to try and save his 80 carry, but EDG are able to brute force their way through it and get the kill onto the tricky Xayah.
I mean, Meiko is playing out of his mind right here. Even though some of the carries are still just about dying, it is not because of anything he is doing wrong. Mid lane tower, actually without having that Herald, is just going to be pushed on down, and I absolutely love to see this from EDG. I think this is a mistake a lot of teams make, where they see objectives are so juicy without thinking about what the objective is for. Hang on, watching now, TheShy. Just walk this one away.
Wei now looking for On with a death mark. Parukia stalls it out. The flash from On, able to get away from the grand entrance here. Wei has to go back to his living shadow. Xiaohao now going crazy as he stole the quickness, gets the charm onto TheShy, but he goes into the hammer with the skies. Xiaohao just gets one more Kingslayer into the upskun abduct and says goodnight to TheShy. Now Wei trying to see if he can make his grand escape against CDZ's Renekton, gets over the wall. The flash immediately used by both players, and Wei creates enough distance to get away from harm.
Now, he's also just going to wander his way back out and head back to base. That's actually really nice from EDG. They get themselves back to even in terms of the kills. Still going to be down by a chunk with the gold, but it's a lot less than they were previously, and that's just over-aggression from IG, right? Meiko thinks he can go in alongside Wei without any real support, alongside TheShy as well, and yes, you've got a couple members there, but there's way more friends in the area right now for EDG, and yeah, On flashing away, just going to keep himself alive. Even though the Sightner not dealing too much damage at the moment, still, free hitting throughout the entirety of the team fight isn't going to spell a good fight for IG.
In the end, EDG are able to find a couple extra kills for themselves in the back end of it, but IG are still ahead when it comes to the gold advantage. EDG will take this time to try and rip this Rift Herald while they have majority numbers here. TheShy, just making sure that he is not compromising to the top side of the map. He backs away, but they have to give up position on the Rift Herald because the rest of IG were ready to flood the river there.
Yeah. Every single time you think that you're just going to be able to step up and buy yourself some extra space. No, both of these teams have been very quick to respond. Meiko gets forced away again, and this is going to be the Rift Herald started up. And I really like this, right? They don't decide to pull back after one fight and get the Rift Herald. They instead take that mid lane tower, and now they can grab themselves the Rift Herald, use it either on a tier 1... I think there's still a tier 1 top lane. Actually, maybe there isn't. Instead, they can just use it on any of those tier 2s. Of course, the response right here from IG, they're going to grab themselves their second Drake of the game. And EDG, across the course of this whole game, this whole series, Raafaa, I think they have 1, maybe 2 Drakes. Like, they have not had any Drake priority.
It's definitely been a difficult one to secure. Parukia sets up at least the engage for Xiaohao to follow up onto Meiko. Still has a flash, he still has multiple battle dances to use. EDG cannot lock down this Rakan that easy. Gala now just putting a bunch of feathers into this tier 1 turn in the mid lane. Teleport comes in from ZDZ, now looking for the flank. Rookie is able to pop the ultimate for vision across every single member on EDG. Rookie has the gold card, stuns up ZDZ onto the top side. Gala trying to kite it out to the best visibility. Wade goes in for the death mark, but just not enough damage, and he was way too low to continue the chase. And EDG, they're starting to win the hands check against IG that they're opting in for time and time after again. Parukia trying to go for the road rage. Doesn't find a knock-up with anyone on that Rift Herald driving, but does push IG back. And EDG starting to get closer and closer to finding that gold advantage in this game 3.
Yeah. They're going to be able to grab themselves this tier 2 tower in the mid lane. It will be traded back by TheShy for a tier 1 on the top side. So every time EDG make a good play, IG, they still get something back. Still, I'm very impressed with the way that EDG have been able to play through this game with a lot less of an early game focused compositions, right? Their previous 2 compositions super needed to get going early, and they weren't able to find themselves any kind of advantage. This one needs to get something going about this point, and they are beginning to roll. They're beginning to find these little moments. And ZDZ, great teleport in, great flank. I thought it was about to go wrong for him, right? At this point where everybody sort of turns around and starts focusing onto him, I didn't know that the Crocodile was really going to be able to survive, but ZDZ proves me wrong right here. A couple of big multi-man cullings as well, just keeping him healthy.
And it's just great driving from Parukia to get the knock-up on the Rookie. He was separated from the rest of IG, but now the Otacon has spawned, and just like in the previous 2 games here, Bloxxer, this is where IG has consistently found ways to break the game wide open in their favor. EDG have been able to claw back from the gold deficit that they were suffering from against IG for the past 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But now, all that can be erased if they are not able to stand tall against IG here. Pretty much everyone from IG has arrived. Rookie is splitting in the mid lane. The Otacon still at 8,000 HP. IG taking their time. Rookie can join with a teleport if needed. Meiko baiting out some cooldowns. Rookie finally joins the fray. Big knock up on Gala, but he goes into the air with the Feather Storm Measures at the right time, and Xiaohao is deleted from the rip. No jungler for EDG. No smite available for EDG now. Rookie grants vision on everyone. Here comes Wade, pushing forward, finds Angel, slashes him back to the shadows. Parukia gets knocked up. ZDZ is the next one to fall, and On is doing everything that he can to try and sustain this Crocodile, but now he's the last one standing, and he's gonna be the final corpse to hit the dirt. IG find the ace at the right time, and it's 21 minutes and an Otacon earned to Invictus Gaming.
It looked like it was going to be okay there for EDG. There are a couple of key moments where you thought, they can turn this around, they can make this work. But unfortunately, it just doesn't end up happening. Although the members of IG fall low, they do not go down. Only TheShy going to give his life to that fight. And we'll have a look back at the way that this one starts out. Right at the very beginning, it's Wade just kind of poking, thinking. And as we've seen throughout the entirety, right, Meiko He thinks, hey, I can probably find that moment to go in, and as soon as Parukia oversteps here, and I am going to call it an overstep, right? You know that Gala has got himself that Featherstorm to jump up into. It baits multiple members in. Xiaohao jumps too far forwards, and the turnaround is just instantaneous.
That is now like the second or third ability that Meiko has been able to block for Gala. Granted,
yeah.
It was not going to hit him because he was already in the air with the ulti, but
yeah, but he's
Meiko
doing
has
it like
been just on point in receiving these engages for his team.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. Me too. I can imagine the coach for IG probably thought to himself, oh my gosh, I'm giving my jungler Zed.
Yeah.
Please don't let this draft backfire.
I get so fired if we lose this game.
We cannot lose this game against EDG of all teams, guys.
Yeah.
We must hold strong, and IG are rewarded. IG's coach is rewarded in the Otacon fight.
Absolutely, yeah. EDG now stepping up forwards, but every single time you're seeing these shurikens getting thrown out right here by Wei. They're chunking through the health bars of IG. They're going to have to head back on towards the waves, try to get a little bit of extra healing up. You do at least have a Senna on side, so you should be able to get back closer. It's going to be that ulti popped by Rookie, doesn't decide to take it. Uh-oh.
Parukia tries to go in. Wei secures the dragon for IG. That's the third, and they are now on soul point. ZDZ tries to go in, looking for Gala. Once again, goes in the air with the Featherstorm. It's the turnaround for IG, and just like that, EDG run out of gas on trying to fire from a distance as they find Meiko now. Wait a minute, EDG trying to turn around. Wei goes in with the death mark, but he's not able to find enough damage. The Realm Ward from Angel might just be enough to look for Rookie onto the back end of it. Yes, IG get the third dragon, but it's EDG that find a big win in the fight on the dragon.
Gorgeous bit of re-engage right there from EDG. ZDZ, he was so far forwards that he dies way too early on. And it's only Gala that's going to be able to limp away because that turnaround. EDG, they've done what they needed to do. Pick up the kill onto... Oh, sorry, IG. Pick up the kill onto ZDZ, grab the Drake, walk away. Instead, massive re-engage comes on through, and it's a little bit disparate. It's not fully together, which is odd. We've been seeing so many more just together fights. Instead, you see TheShy and Meiko kind of jumping on forwards. Everybody's stepping up here. You can walk away in this situation. You've won this fight already. You don't need to keep walking forwards. Really nice hook right there. And this is worrying, right? You still don't think it's going to be IG losing this game, but EDG, they are not going down quietly.
I think something that IG did not process going into this fight is how many souls that On has been able to pick up this game and how far the Senna has now scaled up. And if these fights continue to play out the way that it just did for EDG, it could be all the difference that EDG need to find for On. It could be the pro difference that they need to find against IG. And speaking of pro difference, guys, if you want to get one-on-one tips with a former or current pro from LTA, ERLs, or the NACL, use the QR code or prodiff.gg on the website and schedule one-on-one using the code LPL10 to save 10% on ProDiff and be able to level up your game, as ZDZ now currently under fire on the bottom side of the map against two members, Rookie and TheShy, trying to put this Croc down. But the Dawning Shadow from On is able to keep his top laner alive. Xiaohao getting aggressive onto Meiko, just forcing him back.
I'm almost certain the Rookie just gold carded the tower on that fight.
Oh,
like
no.
I'm like 97% sure the Rookie gold carded the tower.
Everyone get out! Everyone get out!
Realm warps in, teleports out. Oh, they can snap turn! They're gonna snap turn just straight onto the Baron right here from IG. EDG get baited down towards the bottom side. You do get double teleports coming through, triple teleports coming on through from EDG. They are gonna arrive for this fight.
Parukia has Smite available as well. 7,000 on the Baron. IG immediately drop it, but they don't reset the Baron to the full HP potential. Now Wei has to pull out a miracle against two Smites. They're going to force the fight here onto the top side. Gala is able to find Parukia.
Gala's free hitting.
ZDZ, he's going in the air with the Featherstorm. He finds the Blade Caller onto two. Angel goes golden, so does Xiaohao. But Gala wants to find a triple. The fourth is taken by Rookie. No pentakill today for Gala, but it's enough of a fight win for IG to secure the Baron afterwards.
Oh, that Flash Blade Caller was absolutely gorgeous. Sexy work right there from Gala. But honestly, this is what we're talking about, right? It's not the micro of that Flash play. It's the macro of, hey, we've just seen like 20 people down bot lane. We kind of need to teleport out to get away anyway. Let's teleport straight towards the Baron. It draws EDG in. They're kind of scrambling to get back for the fight. Meiko with another beautiful body block right here to keep his carries in a good spot. Yeah, he's immediately going to be able to pop that ulti through as well. And then just watch this. Gala, he's been so good this split.
Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous on the repositioning of the feathers for the Blade Caller, and good night on! IG started recognizing that Senna was starting to become a huge threat to IG chances of being able to close out this game without any obstacles in their path, and they say, yeah, you know what, Senna, you're just gonna die right here, right now, and now On does not get to play the game for another 30 seconds.
Oh, now it's going to be these Baron-empowered minions pouring on through. You've got a push going in the top lane. You've got a push going in the mid lane as well. I do not think that this tower is going to be long for the world. The inhibitor likely soon to follow. And for EDG, it feels like they've been scrambling to play catch-up throughout the entirety of this game. And they have found good moments for themselves here. But they need to find just a couple fights that fully go in their favor and result in them picking up objectives, because they've lost the Atakan, 3 Drakes, the Baron. Every single one of these neutrals has just gone the other way.
And IG are just so relentless, so unforgiving when it comes to making these sieges into the late game. Xiaohao goes into the backline with the stolen quickness, goes golden, tries to buy time with the Kingslayer, but it's just not enough. Xiaohao is now dead in the dirt for another 47 seconds, so is ZDZ. IG now operating with a full 5-man advantage. The flash for Rookie! Oh my goodness gracious! The rapid fire cannon was not quite online yet. On is able to cleanse the gold card stun. Wei is threatening him. TheShy flashes in. The dredge line is absorbed by TheShy's Jason. He doesn't even care that Parukia tried to stun him up because he still's got the damage to be able to back it up. Angel throwing out the Realm Orb just for sake, trying to defend the base, but IG have one goal in mind, and that is to make this playoffs run absolutely flawless, and they will sweep the series 3-0 against EDG.
It's quick as well. It's quick as well, Raafaa. We don't see many of these games go too long. And it is going to be that 3-0 that you predicted, abandoning your EDG hype train. For good reason, right? As much as I did have that 3-0 EDG down, it wasn't really an actual expectation. This wasn't a true... That was a hope, a wish, a dream. And IG, they take that dream and they just screw it up and throw it over their shoulders. They're not interested.
Because if for some reason EDG actually made that happen, it would have been incredibly awesome, and Bloxxer would have been the sole benefactor of it.
Yeah.
He would have been able to parade it on social media. He would have been
I would have lorded that over you guys for years. Yeah.
And you would be totally valid in doing so. But IG proceed as many, not just me, many of our colleagues here on the LPL English predicted for to be the case in a 3-0 sweep from IG against EDG. Oh my god.
Hey, this doesn't mean EDG not to Worlds, right? It's very important to say that this does not lock them out. Both of these things can still potentially be true. EDG can still make it to Worlds, and IG could still technically miss finals. I think one of those is seeming a little bit less likely than the other, of course. But it doesn't stop things from happening here for EDG. EDG now go down into the bottom bracket. They will play up against JDG in their next matchup, and that's a JDG that looked good in games 1 and 2 versus BLG, and then get themselves reverse swept to be down in the bottom of the bracket. The way EDG were playing today, the way they were finding bits here versus IG, I don't think it's as cut and dry as maybe people would think about just looking at the names.
Yeah, because the way that EDG were fighting against IG, yes, EDG weren't necessarily as proactive early on as we wanted in every single game that we saw. The only time that it was that explosiveness and unexpected volatile plays was game 1 with the early Trundle invade, Parukia level 1 just getting aggressive into Meiko and Gala's face. But this game 3, like you pointed out, they were patient on their item spikes, and that's when they started trying to make the game flippable. They just started sending TPs into the mid lane, trying to force Gala's hand, started asking the questions rather than answering the questions that IG were posing, especially in game 2. And as long as EDG are the ones trying to dictate the game rather than just react to it, then EDG are legitimately in a good spot for the lower bracket run.
Yeah, it's not over for them. I still think that they've got a decent chance here versus a JDG that has shown us nothing but struggles, nothing but inconsistency throughout the entirety of this split number 3. I really don't know who I'm going to predict when we get into that next round between those two teams. For IG, though, I know who I'm going to be predicting. Yes, BLG managed to get that reverse sweep off versus JDG, but I don't know. I don't think the BLG have that same level that IG do. Their map decision, their macro is just so nice. We saw it right there in this last game with that decision to teleport up towards the Baron. It just completely throws EDG off kilter.
Yeah. And those are the type of plays that IG have become so fearsome for. They are willing to just say, all right, check this out, guys. We're going to double TP to the Baron, and we're just going to start it on top of a control ward. What do you do? And even some of the most strongest teams that we have in Group Ascend here in the LPL are terrified to try and answer that question, and they scramble. They don't methodically figure it out and problem solve. They scramble to try and react because you're running against the clock when you're playing against IG in those late game decision moments, because if you falter, then you're dead for 40 seconds, and IG suddenly have one of the best buffs to just start completely taking over the map.
This is the goal graph of a team really trying to get back into it, right? Every single time you start getting a lead going, EDG, they do find a way back into this game, right? If you are just box score watching and you see 3-0 IG versus EDG, you think that this series is way more one-sided than it actually was. EDG were constantly finding ways to get themselves closer to even, sometimes ahead. We saw in game 1 they had a couple of leads back and forth, right? But in the end, IG, they just do look like one of the absolute best teams that we've got for ourselves here. TES have NIP in their first round matchup, AL versus Weibo. Those are the games that we're going to have tomorrow. Those games, I don't know that any of these teams can show up in such a way that I'm not going to look at IG as probably the strongest team that we currently have.
Yeah, between Anyone's Legend and Weibo, those teams have already shown a lot of their inconsistencies throughout the Rumble stage. That doesn't give us a lot of confidence against IG in particular. Now, if Anyone's Legend shows up tomorrow in the same form that won them split 2 playoffs, then maybe we'll have a pretty damn good series on our hands, you know, going up between IG and Anyone's Legend, if that is the case. But until then, there's a reason why we have slowly elevated IG from a dark horse to now a favorite to win the title at this point. A
serious contender at this point, absolutely, yeah. It is very much been, right, AL Weibo, I think they've been alongside JDG on their struggle bus. BLG, they look good. TES, they look good too, but I mean, BLG, they needed a reverse sweep. It's unfortunate for TES, they come out first in the group stage, but that doesn't give anyone confidence anymore. They did that last split, and then they collapsed in on themselves once they got into playoffs. And their first round matchup versus NIP, if it's anything but a clean 3-0, then people are going to start having questions. Are they, again, regular season merchants? Are we super confident in them, right? Whereas IG, the stocks couldn't be higher at this point. 6 wins coming into today. They dismantle EDG as we were expecting. Yeah, it's a little bit close. I'm still impressed with things that EDG did, but it never felt seriously like EDG were going to pick up the win. And so this round 2 of playoffs is going to be absolutely fascinating to watch. The entire thing is.
Ever since their loss against FPX in the middle of the Rumble stage, IG have remained undefeated in series now. And they're going to continue that streak alive as we head further and further into the playoffs. Like you said, EDG now taking a bow out of the upper bracket and now have to make that run through the lower bracket. Their opponent against JDG in that matchup. And for going forward, looking at tomorrow's matchups, we talked a little bit about Anyone's Legend and Weibo. The other matchup that could give us an indication of whether IG will have an opponent that they need to fear is how the top esports series goes against Ninjas in Pajamas, because that is another team. Even though they were the #1 team by the end of the Rumble stage, IG were able to triumph by the end of the second round robin, and top esports need to figure out some of their own inconsistencies before we can start considering them a team that can outmatch IG.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got a lot to prove. It's the unfortunate reality when you do well in regular season and then kind of mess it up later on, right? You win split 1, it's a horrible first stand, people start looking at you a bit suspicious. It's a great split, and then you mess it up during the playoffs. And now at this point, we just need to see TES win the whole thing, otherwise people are going to feel vindicated and not fully trusting them. And yeah, we could end up with a TES IG as a final, an AL if they get back to form, maybe BLG keep it on rolling. I would like this to be Gala. Although... okay, sorry, for individual player of the game, individual, Meiko, absolutely. For overall, for the whole series, I think I'd probably say Gala was the most impactful for me. But in this game, yeah, that Rakan performance was gorgeous.
Very, very, very beautiful stuff from Meiko there. I mean, we noted how many times this guy was able to intercept engages and picks, at least attempts from the side of EDG to catch out some of his teammates. Sometimes he saved them, sometimes he didn't, but a majority of the time it was for the greater good, and it did bait EDG in further to be able to still net major advantages for IG in the end. But that does put a wrap on this series. So let's take a look at that updated playoffs bracket to see where all the teams now stand. BLG, as we already noted before, will be advancing forward as a result of their victory over JDG earlier. But now we have IG going to meet them once again. Yep. And as we know before, the fact that IG were able to triumph over BLG the last time these two met, this puts BLG now in a pretty terrifying spot that they were brought to full 5 games by JDG. How are they going to do it against IG of all opponents?
Oh. At this point, who knows, right? As BLG, they've got a tough mountain to climb right now. Being able to pick up the win here versus IG, I think would solidify them as one of my favorites. They actually look really good with Bechuan in, right? Thank you very much, Kai. Yeah, they looked really good, actually, overall, with Bechuan coming on in. He came in for the second game, which they did end up losing, but games 3, 4, and 5 were all really, really solid from him. It'd be interesting to know if it's going to be Shadow or Bechuan as the starting jungler for them in this IG matchup, because they did have Shadow in versus IG when they lost that game at the very end of the regular season, so maybe you want to switch things up. Maybe having a different jungler in will be that boost that BLG needs to be able to overcome an IG that right now are the hottest team in the LPL.
BLG. Meanwhile, producer Kai is really trying to egg me on and trying to give any encouraging words to EDG. This is what I'll say. As we predicted before, the IG matchup was the worst matchup that they could have drawn. But EDG now have the opportunity, after taking the lessons they learned against IG, they at least found some opportunities where they were able to get some teamfight wins over one of our favorites in the split, or to win the title. EDG, in this lower bracket, go forward with the confidence and the boldness that you showed us in Group Nirvana. And I promise you, the results will come through all the same. Just trust in the process. I know that you can make the world's run happen. Through the lower bracket, I believe in you wholeheartedly. For us, though, on the broadcast, that does put an end to our overall show, with both of our best of 5s now coming to a conclusion. Before we close out the show, we want to remind everyone at home, thank you very much to our elite coffee supporters, Aaron Soup, Mung, Force Without, and owners of Cimmeril. Their pledged financial contributions help level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an English LPL product every single day. Before we wrap up the show here, Bloxxer, any last words?
Oh. The last word is that it's 3 o'clock here, and the UK government just sent out an emergency alert. Thank you. You can't mute that. I was hoping we'd end before 3, but clearly we didn't. The other shout out is to Kai. Obviously, this is a long day, right? 2 best of 5s back to back. We get to swap out as casters. We get to go chill for the first series and then bring our energy in as production. They have to sit through the entire thing. So thank you so much for bringing us through it.
Shout out to Kai, our producer. Shout out to Saturn, who was running socials today. And shout out to Trina on moderator duty. It was a long one. And also a big shout out to all of the crew that is running the show for tomorrow, as we have another double best of 5 back-to-back series. It's going to be a long one. Same time tomorrow. See you then, and good night.